Hello, welcome. I see somebody's here. Hello, Brea. Wonderful to see you. I am here to drop in for day 40 of the Aries Point Road Opener. 40 days we've journeyed together. I just want to take a moment to just honor you for committing to your growth, your healing, and your evolution, to really allow yourself to sink in and do this work is pretty potent. It's pretty potent. And so I hope you'll just like take a little time today to really honor that you showed up for yourself. Hello. Yes, we did. We did do it. I was sinking in. I wanted to do the soul retrieval today. And then as I was sinking in with it, I realized I've been journeying along with you, in tandem with you all. And we're in receive today, right? We're in receive. This is our last day together. And it's when we're really supposed to be open to receiving and just allowing the support to come in. And I got the hit that I was like, you know what? I just don't have the bandwidth to hold the space for soul retrieval today. And I realized that it was really important to honor that because holding the space around that, the right kind of space, is so important. And then I really got the piece that it would be good to drop in and have a talk about soul retrieval as far as preparing yourself for that and what that looks like and how we can work with it if we're not feeling like we're needing soul retrieval, but maybe we're wanting to call a certain aspect of ourselves back, maybe call back our mojo or just call back our connection to our ancestors or our creativity, however that may look. So I wanted to drop in around that today. And I feel like I need to rest up. I feel like I need to rest up. I have loved going live. I will continue to bring in regular lives. It's been a really good experience for me just to be in that place of spontaneity. I feel like there's been a good space held around it. I feel good about it, feel positive about it. I am going to continue with that. But doing it every day and length of some of the drop-ins I've done, it's been demanding. And people who channel, people who do that kind of work, you understand. When you drop in like that, it may seem passive, but there's a lot going on energetically. You definitely need to restore afterwards. So I feel like it would be good to sort of just prepare everybody for that session, for that soul retrieval session. I will bring it in next week. I'm thinking I will bring it in next Thursday. That feels like good timing. And in fact, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to write it down. I'm going to write it down. So I bring it in next Thursday. Um, this will give people a chance to really prepare for it, to get in the right space, not rush it. I feel it's good to have a solid foundation in place with that. So we will bring that in and we're going to talk about it. And we're going to talk about the final step that's involved after you call your soul part back. Yes, yes. I have to, that's the thing that I've really learned as an Ayurvedic practitioner is I have to walk my talk. I can't talk about self-care, energy management, giving from a place of fullness, all these things, everything we've covered, right? If I'm not living it myself. So I always have to really respect where I'm at. And I just know. There's you have to enter a certain like energy space to be able to create the right container for soul retrieval work. So I want to make sure that I'm really there. Yes, yes, and this too. I very much agree with that. I felt that too. Like once I came to that place, because see, here's the thing: we're all journeying through this together. I'm just going to bring in some of this beautiful. Um, it's a very interesting incense. It's raspberry rose. It's raspberry rose, and just thought we'd bring in a little of that sweet energy with this hawk medicine as we talk about this. It smells so lovely. I wish you could smell it. But just imagine fresh raspberries with a beautiful pink rose in full bloom. It just has kind of that oja scent to it. So, oh, I respect all of your energy too. Thank you so much for all of you that have been taking part and sharing your voices and sharing your experience. It means a lot to me. And you may not realize it, but by you bringing in your authentic experience, other people who maybe are shy, about sharing on such a level, it gives them more courage to start to step forward. And I have noticed that there's been more comments, there's been more people coming forward and sharing their experiences. And so I hope you'll really acknowledge that when you are willing to share your experience and you're willing to bring your voice forward, that it also really supports others. That's the way you're helping to create that space. So definitely appreciate all of you and all the support and everything you've brought into the experience. And yes, I do feel like it's good for you all too to have some more time to prepare and also some time to prepare in how you want to move through it. Um, I think that that's really a beneficial thing, um, just to know the space to enter into and also how you're going to work with it, because not everybody is going to work with it for calling a soul part back. Some of you dropped in on that initial journeying session and you really realized, no, I don't have a soul part to call back, but there's still a way you can work with it in a beneficial way to call back like some kind of essence of you or your connection to your ancestors. So let's just talk about all of that, okay? Let's drop in around all of that. And I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'm going to do like a pre-recorded for that because it can get very distracting and I want there to be like a real deep drop in around that soul retrieval session. And if I do pre-record it, I will have a live after, um, immediately after it airs. I'll have a live where we can all drop in with each other and process. Okay. I want to make sure that I hold that space so people can like bring in their experience. And I don't want to deny that of you all. So we'll figure out how that looks. I'm going to just like tap into the energy and see what feels right. But I wanted to talk about the process, what to expect. For those of you who feel like, yes, you've really touched upon it, you've dropped in, and you definitely are calling a soul part back, now would be the time to really continue forward with this receptive energy that we've built, this softening energy that we've built, moving forward in preparation for that, just to make sure you're in the most open and ready space to do that integration work because it is quite an integration. It will be very sweet, the more intensive integration that involves really reorienting yourself with all that shadow material that you weren't able to hold space for back then, which is why you had the soul fracturing in the first place. Just getting yourself ready for that'll come a little ways down the road. I found that it's usually, a number of months before that piece comes in. Initially, there is this like sweet, tender homecoming, this feeling of like, oh, I feel complete. It feels really good to have this part of you back. And sometimes whatever memories or associations you had with that time on a pleasant level, they'll flood back to you. So if you're calling back a childhood soul part, you might notice that you're having some desire to engage in some things that you really enjoyed as a kid, maybe things you'd forgotten about, or you might notice you're wanting certain foods or, just things along these lines. And it really is because you're reorienting a certain part of your psyche that you've been disconnected from for a time. And so the more that you allow yourself to indulge in these things, it provides a feeling of comfort and stability that makes it easier to reintegrate this soul part or to reintegrate this part of your psyche. It's really however you choose to relate to it. It's all the same trip, okay? But it helps to stabilize the experience a little bit. Likewise, when you went and you journeyed in to tap in and find out, do I need to reintegrate a soul part? You got some kind of communication that came back, certain things that that soul part wanted you to have prepared for their return. Okay. So if you haven't done those things yet, and I just had two birds fly past the window. So it's so interesting when it comes in. It's like, yes, on the track to freedom, I really do feel that. Like there's these soul parts that are so wanting to be reintegrated. They're wanting to come back in. They're very eager for that. But, make sure you're in alignment. Make sure you've done that preparation that that soul part asked you to do. That's a very important piece as well, because it's you exercising in good faith and good trust that you are of your word. And this is important too, that level of trust to integrate, integrate, integrate that soul part, that it feels very safe. Like if you told your soul part you were going to come back for it, you want to make sure that you come back for it. Okay. You don't want to leave it hanging. Okay. If your soul part told you, I want to have these things waiting for me on my return, you better make sure you go and get those things if you said that you would. Otherwise, uh, you're kind of like breaching the trust, and that can get in the way of integration. So recall those things that came up when you dropped in and make sure that you have those things prepared. Ah, you've been painting, huh? Oh, a hummingbird. Beautiful joy, joy, sweetness returning. Yes, and that is what it's like initially. That is what it's not like initially. So, you can enjoy that piece of it. So moving into that softness, that sweetness is going to be very positive for just reintegrating your soul part. All right. More you can continue with this work we've been doing in this final week of the Kapha reset, the more ready you'll be to receive your soul part back. All right. So stay in that soft space, that sweet space. Honor your agreements with your soul part. Make sure you're creating the right space for that. Likewise, this piece. Likewise, if you feel like, you're not ready at this time to call that soul part back, but you need the soul retrieval, but you feel like you need a lot more time to integrate. You're not quite there yet. And that can be the case for some people. It's a lot, to take on soul retrieval and the work of it and integrating shadow stuff. If you've already been integrating a lot of shadow stuff and you feel like, oh, I don't know if I'm ready to take that on too right now, I might need a lot more time. That's okay too. You can use this soul retrieval journey we're doing to go down and have a conversation with your soul part about that and say, I need a little more time. I want to make sure that it's a really safe environment for you to come back to. So this piece as well, you know, but it's really important to communicate that to your soul part, and it will help facilitate the healing process. Now, some of you may feel like you don't need to reintegrate a soul part. How could you use this drop-in session that we're going to do? How could you use this journeying session? You could still use it for your healing and your integration and coming into a place of wholeness within yourself. So let's look at it many different ways. Somebody brought in the piece of like they've always wanted to feel more of a connection to their ancestors and they haven't felt that connection. So you could use it like that. And some of you did do that initial dive in and, asked your ancestors if they would be interested in kind of coming forward more for you. I'm sure you got an affirmative on that. I don't see why the ancestors wouldn't want to come forward for you. And so that's something you can do. You can really call their medicine forward. And I will be providing guidance with that when I do this final one. So it can accommodate people who are using it for different purposes. So you might be calling your ancestors back, Same thing. Think about, what would make your ancestors feel really welcome in reconnecting with you, bringing their energy more forward. Maybe you want to make up that ancestral altar during this week. Maybe you want to look into some offerings, maybe offer up some beautiful flowers or some foods, things along these lines. Just making the energy feel really welcome to reconnect with you and bringing in that sort of honoring energy around it would be beautiful. Um, Likewise, let's say you're calling back an aspect of yourself, like your mojo. Okay, let's say you're calling back your mojo. Get yourself in a space where maybe you're ready to work with that a little bit. Maybe get yourself in a space where you kind of call your mojo back, in now, with this work we're doing with receiving, maybe dive into your sensuality and preparation, maybe get something going, maybe get some kind of confidence working going, get a candle lit, start to build your confidence up, so as you call this part back, you're really like holding almost like an intentional space around that. Okay. Or you could do some cleansing baths, to get rid of insecurity. That would be really good. Just get yourself ready to receive like your sense of confidence, self-esteem, your mojo back, So there's a lot of different ways you can work with it. You could use it to call your creativity back if you're an artistic type and you feel like you've been held back, for a while. You haven't had any kind of like inspiration coming in. You've had writer's block, whatever, Well, go get your artistic supplies together, get your stuff together so that when you call this part back, you have everything you need to kind of go with that inspiration. So you can use it very creatively, very, very creatively. I want to bring this in. It's wanting to come in for a reason. And so I'm going to bring it in. I don't know why it's wanting to come in, but it is. Do not use it to call back somebody else. Okay. Do not use it for that purpose. That's using it in a very like distorted way, unhealthy, and will have very negative results. Okay. This is about you and only you. This is about calling back your soul cards. This is about you calling back certain aspects of yourself or connecting with your, ancestry. When your destiny is an 8, it is beautiful. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's that infinity, right? Turn an 8 on its side and it's infinity. Absolutely. 8, 8, 8, 24, 6. That's the path of healing. That's that path of visionary healing as well. Nice to see you, Empress. So, it's very important not to use soul retrieval to like try to retrieve somebody else's soul. It's not used in that purpose. It's to be used for healing yourself, integrating yourself. So just wanted to bring that piece in. That's very important. It can be interesting, though, the effect that soul retrieval can have, because if you had some kind of soul fracturing related to something traumatic that happened in association with somebody that you were connected to in the past, like something that happened between you and a family member, or something that happened between you and a love, or something along these lines, and you go in and you call your soul part back, sometimes what you weren't able to process or heal with that other person back there comes back around the bend, it comes back around the bend because you're calling the soul part back. So it brings with it like the lesson. That's what you have to be prepared for as you go into this work. So make sure you're going into this with eyes wide open about what that really means. It's not just about healing and processing the pain of what happened back there, or any trauma you have around that, but it's also about it's not a guarantee, but sometimes it happens. It can have a rubber band effect where the people that you were dealing with back then also come back around, so you can finally resolve and close things properly. So the healing can manifest on many different levels, and there is that Pandora's box aspect to it. And so it's so important to be mindful of this piece. If you're going to work with this, you're going to call your soul part back. Just know, by doing that, you're letting spirit kind of take the wheel. And things can line up synchronistically where certain timelines converge, and it's for the ultimate, good of all involved. And it's for healing and integration for all involved. But it's so, so, so important, it's so important um, to let that play out and to be ready for it, and holding your piece of that. So, something to be mindful of. These are all things to be mindful of. So, so essential when working with soul retrieval. So, there's many different ways that you can work with it. So, first things first, very essential to make sure you're in a space where you're prepared to call your soul part back. And if you already went down and you did the journeying in that first session we did, and you told your soul part you were going to come back for it, and you feel like you need more time, you're going to definitely want to use it to let that soul part know, I'm still coming back for you, but I need a little more time. Communication, trust is key. Creating safe space is key. Being in a place of emotional readiness is key. Being in that place of softness, unguardedness, being able to receive is key. So I think that following through with our last little bit, this weekend of that deep receiving is very, very beneficial. Now, the second thing I want to talk about is what happens after you call your soul part back. Okay, so we go through this next week, we call the soul part back. Now what happens? Now what happens? Then it's very much a case of you might need to have a little rest time. You might need to have a little downtime. You'll want to engage in deep nourishing, nurturing, make sure you're really feeding your body, nourishing foods. Make sure you're staying nice and hydrated. Make sure you're giving yourself opportunity to rest, to integrate any emotions that come up with that reunion. Okay, that's super important. There's also the piece of engaging in some grounding activities. It can be a lot to reintegrate a soul part. At first, you may feel a little destabilized. Okay, so the more you can kind of like spend time in nature, create pockets for relaxation, and just sort of dropping in and feeling really supported and take really good care of yourself, you'll be good. It doesn't take a long time, maybe a few days, just really putting extra focus on that will be very beneficial. That is exactly what I have done. No one comes back from my past in the last 7 years, last 7 retrogrades. So no one has returned because I closed the door. Yeah, it's so important too, just having that closure, that release, it's a beautiful experience. And that's a lot of what this is about. It's about no longer trailing that trauma or that wounding, the heaviness from the past with us into the future. It's about integrating that experience fully, finally. And in doing so, it gives a beautiful closure and renewal in life. That's absolutely what it's about. So, love that you brought that piece in, Empress 888. So, just make sure that you're really taking good care of yourself after you integrate that soul part. And we will do a live drop in after we do that soul retrieval journeying session next week. We will have a drop in. And that way you all can share your experiences, or if anybody needs any support or they need to process something, we can all hold the space for that. So it feels really good and solid. And that will further stabilize things. I think that's really essential too. And maybe we'll also do down the road, we'll do another drop in live, maybe at like the 3 month point or something down the road, just to see how everybody's doing, how everybody's feeling, if anybody has anything they need to, bring in at that point too, just so there's that little bit of that ongoing support too from community, as everybody integrates that work. Now, the final piece with soul retrieval that I want you to be aware of and prepared for when it comes to doing this work is that the third step in soul retrieval, after you've checked in, do I have a soul part that needs to come back, and are they ready to return? Okay, we already did that. Second step is actually getting the soul part back, retrieving it, okay, and starting to do the integration work. All right. Third part of that before the soul retrieval process is complete is you have to return any soul parts that you are holding on to in connection with this trauma, in connection with this soul part. Now, maybe that is the piece that we might return to 3 months down the road. The reason why I say that is that can be a little bit more lengthy of a process. And the reason why I say that is that um, there's certain integrative work that can come forward. I'll let you decide the timing on that, but I might provide um, a soul return, a soul return journey too. I think I'll create a little space between that though and the soul retrieval that we'll do next week because there should be a little integration time just in bringing your soul part back. Then you're going to want to really drop in around the soul parts you're holding. And there can be a little time space involved in that because once you integrate the soul part you call back, um, there can be stuff that comes forward, um, places you didn't realize that you're really holding on to an energy from back there as well that you need to return, and you might need that illuminated for you through integrating your soul part. Makes sense because it's sort of like that energy really gets highlighted when you call your soul part back. So you're going to discover what soul parts you're holding on to that you need to return. And you can be surprised. There can be a resistance to returning that energy. That can be for a lot of different reasons. That can come forward in situations where maybe you had dealt with some kind of violation, where you felt like your power was taken away from you. And that is what caused this fracturing of your soul part. And because of that, you have a reticence to return the soul part of, for example, your abuser, because you feel like they disempowered you. And so there's this real almost attachment to holding on to the energy, but it's necessary for the soul retrieval to be complete and for you to experience healing. And it's actually that very thing that is keeping you attached to that trauma and the pain of the past. Um, it's really necessary to return soul parts when you call a soul part back. If you're needing to call a soul part back, it's guaranteed that you're holding on to a soul part in return. There's some kind of courting going on there, right? And it works both ways. So it's like almost a codependent energetic attachment with the trauma. All right. It's like an esoteric trauma bond, is the best way to look at it. So you're going to be calling this soul part back in this work that we'll be doing next week. But after that, you'll need a little integration to get clear on what soul parts are you holding on to that you need to return. I'll create a little space between that, maybe a week or two, and then I'll do a guided journey for returning any soul parts you're holding on to, that you can use whenever you feel ready to use that. 29:29 on the clock, coming into alignment. So I feel like that is really, really vital, really important. Um, those are mainly the things that you need to be aware of. Took a higher dose of mushroom today. For water. Oh, it wasn't so micro. It was more macro today. Yeah. So yes, very essential. I feel that I'm still angry and I feel like I need to create peace somehow inside. Yes, yes. So all of those parts are so essential. You want to make sure that you're, welcoming your soul part back in when you're in the right space. And also when it comes to returning any soul parts you're hanging on to after you call your soul part back, you may need a little window of time. You may need a little window of time. So we're going to separate this. Okay. So next week, I'll do the soul retrieval journey with you all. All right. And we'll have a live drop in after that. I think I'm going to pre record it, to be honest with you all. I think I'm going to record just so there's no interruptions. Right. Just so there's no interruptions. So it can be very smooth. It's right. It's so essential for the right space to be held around it. So I'm going to do a pre-record, but I'll premiere it, as a live. I'll be in live chat if anybody needs support during that. All right. And after that, I will go live. All right. So after it premieres, after that closes out, I'll go live with you all, and hold space for any processing that needs to happen. Then I think I'm going to give a space of a couple weeks, before I do a recording of a journey to return any soul parts you're holding on to. And then if you're ready to do it at that time, cool. And if you're not, you can have it available, to use at your discretion. But something that should be very aware of is that your soul retrieval is not complete until you have returned any soul parts that you are holding on to. So that's super important part of it to close out your soul retrieval. If you don't do that, what can happen is when you call your soul part back, if you do not ever return the soul parts you're holding on to in association with that, it can keep you stuck in the shadow aspect of that soul part. It can keep you stuck in the trauma of that time, and it can make it very difficult for you to integrate the experience. And why is that? What is that piece, right, of really returning the soul part? It's forgiveness, you know. And sometimes forgiveness just means letting go, right? Sometimes forgiveness just means letting go. And that may be the case for you, but it may take you some time, especially if you're dealing with some kind of abuse, some kind of violation, some kind of trauma of that nature in association with this soul part you're calling back. Yeah, there can be a real strong desire to punish, to punish the abuser, and to do so by holding on through attachment to the soul part. But it actually keeps you stuck in the trauma and the pain cycle. There needs to be time, though, and sensitivity around that before you're ready to return the part. And it's so important that you allow yourself that space and that time to really do the work and do it thoroughly and look at all aspects of that. Look at all aspects of the attachment, really understand it, be very compassionate with yourself through that. And remember what we talked about. It's important that you do have support in place if you're going to do this work. So you should have somebody that you're working with in a therapeutic capacity, somebody who is working with you, on this level, doing this integrative work. That's really important, or you're going to some kind of support group, something along these lines. It is an important piece. Support is very important for integrating your soul parts as well. So I just really wanted to go over that just to reiterate what it really means to take that on and to make sure that you're entering into soul retrieval with your eyes wide open, and you know what you're taking on by calling your soul part back. And if you need more time, that it's okay. You can use this session next week to, tell your soul part you need more time, and it's just even that step alone is healing in a case where maybe you feel like you have to postpone soul retrieval because you're like, I'm not quite ready to kick off this process yet. By you going in and communicating that to your soul part, you're starting to rebuild the trust and you're starting to form a connection. And so that too, will support you in your healing process. And the good thing is these journeying sessions will be available to you. They'll be on the playlist. You can come to them whenever you are ready. So there's nothing you miss out on by doing that. This space will be held. I am setting up things in such a way where this space is held no matter what time, the space is arrived at. It's timeless. Okay. So this is an important part. Yeah, it's true. I like it too. It is. And it's like it's a timeless family too. It's a timeless family too. We're all holding the space together. The people who come to watch it on the replay, the people who come on the lives. Um, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. And people who will come down the road, it's all energetically connected. Everything on this channel is all timeless. So I really just wanted to drop in today with all of you to prepare you for that and to kind of let you know what the flow was going to be like, and also let you know the timing didn't feel right for tonight, and I'm not in the space where I can really hold the space for that work. And I want to make sure that I am in a really like rested, well rested, and grounded space. I got the bandwidth because it's so important. And that's how I'm going to do right by you all in the process. Okay. So, any questions? Anything that anybody wants to bring in? Anything they want to say? Maybe I can. What about I pull like a white light oracle card for us in closing? I kind of like that, closing on that softness. Let's do that. Let's bring that in. Let me see here. Let me see here. That feels good to me. We did finish off with Kali, but we hadn't done a white light oracle card. And I think that's perfect for just like getting in this space of like softness and readiness to prepare for soul retrieval, or however you're going to greet it. I think it's really cool. I've never worked with it that way. But I love the idea of if you're wanting to have a deeper connection with your ancestors, using it for that purpose to, go down on that journey into the underworld and, connect with your ancestors, connect with the roots. I even like the visualization of that. So I am going to bring in components that will help those of you that are using it that way. So you're supported in your visioning too. Okay. I think it'd be really cool to use it to call back something like call back my musing energy. I want to call back my muse. I want to call back my creativity. I want to call back my sense of empowerment. You could bring forward anything you feel like you've lost connection with. I want to call back my connection to spirit. If you felt kind of disconnected spiritually, you could use it for that purpose too. And I love the symbolism of that. I think it's really beautiful. So um, I will bring in pieces that help you all feel supported, no matter how you want to use it. Okay. And that way it's something you can come back to again and again and again, even beyond soul retrieval for those of you that go that route. And then you can strengthen your own journeying abilities, and you can take yourselves on your own journeys in your own way with your own intentions. I love just passing on the information, and you can take it from there. So let's go ahead and get just one card, just kind of the whole space as we ready ourselves to do that work next week. And it'll also give something to just sort of seed our consciousness over the weekend until I get back on Tuesday. I do have a bonus read coming in. It's scheduled for 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's the bonus read from the Venus Jupiter conjunction series that I was using to see who were the top 3 highest viewing signs for those reads. And Gemini, Taurus, and Sagittarius came in with that. And so they earned the bonus read for this month. And so I just did the bonus read for you all, and it's airing tonight. So be on the lookout for that. I will be in the live chat. So you can drop in with me. Really kind of cool read we did. Who's coming towards you and why? All right. So Have fun with that. It'll be for any significant placement, okay? Sun, moon, rising, Venus, north node, Mercury, Mars, Saturn, Pluto, or loaded house. So that opens it up to a lot of you, and I hope you enjoy it. And thank you so much for being in the top 3 signs with the highest views. I appreciate you. I'm currently using the Spring Fever Wildcard Love Read to gauge which top 3 signs will be receiving the bonus read in May. All right. So still have a few of those to do. We'll get those done next week. 3 more signs to do there. Got Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces to do. All right. After they've been done, next Friday I'll announce which top 3 signs get that May bonus read. All right. And I'm not sure what I'll do for you all. It's always spontaneous, and everyone gets something different. Everyone gets something different every month. That's what makes it special. And you're the only 3 signs who get that read. Okay, so let's see. Any words, Spirit, you want to offer us up on how we can prepare, how we can get ready to receive soul retrieval, what kind of energy we need to bring in, how we can create space for this readiness, or any guidance you want to give us about this soul retrieval work that we'll be diving into next week, just so we can hold it and help build that intentional space. Taking its time. It takes time sometimes to bring things into alignment. There may be some of you that are really feeling like, I didn't realize I'd need a little bit more time. That's okay. Got to remember with the Pathfinder, right? It's about trusting your instincts when it comes to timing, when it's right for you. Look at this. I love this. Shekinah. Shekinah. This is all about you are being lit up by that divine feminine energy, that goddess archetypal energy, the Shakti. This is really just allowing that Shakti to come in and to help move your energy into a place of total receptivity. I hope that you will really just allow yourself to just experience that letting go, that giving over to the divine feminine principle. Really practice a lot of deep, deep listening. I'm really picking this up. Deep, deep listening. I feel like your crown is lit up at this time. So there's a lot of guidance that's going to be coming in. And I feel it's just really about deep listening. And also in relation to soul retrieval and doing this work next week, it's really asking you to trust the guidance that's coming in for you around it. Trust the timing that's coming in for you around it. Trust any higher awareness you have coming in, whether that is telling you, I need a little bit more time. I'm not sure if this is the right time for me to do this, or if I want to tune in now and maybe work with, biding that time with my soul part, or what it is that I need to come into alignment with. What do I want to call in if I'm not wanting soul retrieval or feel like I don't need soul retrieval? Can I work with it in a different way? Okay. So I feel like you're going to get a lot of illumination about that, and sort of that guidance coming in that's going to help you move into a place of receptivity. And I also feel it's about really holding that space of reverence around it, just thinking about what it means to really call your soul part back, what it means to be ready to do that work, be ready to integrate what happened back there, be ready to hold that space where you can even look at integrating it and being in a position of getting ready to release, forgive, let go. It's powerful. It's powerful. So I feel like there's something that's coming in. It's going to help you soften more into this process. Then you're just really being asked to spend some time listening, listening. It's very interesting. I'm almost getting this piece too about like, I just heard like vow of silence. It might be an interesting concept for you to work with and experiment with up until the time of when we do this soul retrieval journey next week, to see if you might even be able to like spend a day in silence or just like devote some time to being in complete silence without any distractions and just see what wants to come forward. There's something about like some sensitivity awakening in you. I think you're really having that Shakti come in. I think you're going to feel like this sort of like this burst of energy coming in. Your creative energy is really wanting to come forward. It really is. I think that so many of you are ready. You know, you are ready. You are ready to call it back. Um, I think you're glad. I think you're glad to have this space of, a few days to kind of get your bearings and really get everything like situated. But I think there's quite a few of you that next week you're ready to do this work. You're ready to do this work. You're in alignment with it. I think you're ready to free up your creative energy. I think a lot of you feel like almost like your creative energy has really been held back and attached to this time and place. And you have this sense that once I get like all of me back, then I'll really be able to, bring forward that energy into the world. Like it's almost like you feel like this is your road opener for a lot of you. This is your road opener. It's like calling your creative force back, your ability to birth new beginnings. And I feel that creative energy comes back even if you are calling a soul part back. It's going to bring back your creative energy because there's part of your energy that's been bound up in the past, and there's a difference when you have all of your creative force available to you and it's not, being restrained, it's not tethered, it's not held back. Um, the beginnings you birth in your life are really powerful. So I just feel like this is like the awakening of the creative force inside of you. Hmm. Let's see what Alana Fairchild has to say. And she always has some kind of healing process that we can work with. And I think that the healing process will really support us in preparing for doing that soul retrieval journey next week on Thursday. I'm going to do it on Thursday. So you can be prepared for that. I'm going to do it next Thursday, and I'm going to do it at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you want to drop in on that live, when it airs live, is when I'll release it at that time. Okay, so be on the lookout for that. And then very shortly after that, I'll be scheduling a live drop in where you guys can share your experiences and process. So just so you can have some timing to work with, see if you can create some space around it for yourselves. That can also be helpful for doing this kind of work. Just, having some time blocked off where you can create the right atmosphere around it for yourself and not feel rushed. Okay. Shakina, the spiritual worlds want to help you resolve your worldly concerns. It is safe for you to rely on spirit as a loving, protective, helpful, and practical presence able to positively affect all areas of your life, including facilitating the resolution of physical problems. Do not limit your spirituality to concepts. Instead, apply your higher knowledge and principles, grow your wisdom, and live your path. Acknowledge your value as a person, as a soul. Treasure the gift of your path and let your spirituality integrate with all facets of your life. Love this. Shekinah is a Hebrew word that translates as the dwelling place of the divine. Shekinah is the embodiment of the light. She is in us when we are living our spiritual path, applying our wisdom and principles so our actions, our courage, our choices awaken compassion in our world. We are the sacred change makers and healers of the collective. The divine electricity of spirit needs willing soul bulbs to shine forth in this world. In the esoteric Jewish tradition of Kabbalah, Shekinah is the sacred feminine, the capacity for an experience of spirit entering the soul of a human being. When a soul is approaching the sacred experience of Shekinah, the ego has given way to some degree. There is enough inner space and heart willingness to surrender and receive so that spirit can infuse the soul. The soul becomes more luminous with white light. We resonate more with spirit than with ego. We feel like our true selves. When the soul becomes Shekinah, a holy dwelling place of spirit, our experience is very different to the ego driven way of living. We slow down and accomplish that which is meaningful. We feel connected to all that is, so we are inspired to do what we can to help according to our tendencies and talents. We co create rather than compete. We accomplish our aspirations because we are no longer in our heads, but practicing our spiritual path daily. Our practices resonate with our hearts, increasing our awareness, love, presence, patience, commitment, and peace. Our spiritual practices are our life raft when the ocean of life becomes wild, and our magic carpet when we feel stuck and need inspiration and freedom. I love it because we were talking about freeing the creative energy. Our practices increase our compassion for ourselves and others. When Shekinah is in your reading, you have both permission and encouragement from Spirit to embrace spiritual practices that resonate with your heart and commit to them, especially when you think you don't need them or they don't seem to be doing anything for you. Those are the times you need them most. To embrace Shekinah is to embrace action, to commit, to engage, to walk our talk, and to be the light that we want to see in our world. The ideas that nurture and inspire your heart are important, but the actions that transform hesitation, fear, and doubt into boldness, trust, and confidence are essential to bring these ideas to life. You have with you have it within you to live your life and to put all your problems and concerns into the capable hands of a deeper guiding wisdom. You are not giving your power in doing so. You are actually empowering your sacred fulfillment. This oracle brings notice of an opportunity to apply your spiritual principles. You are encouraged to consider how you can live so that your inner beliefs and outer actions are in alignment. This is not about denying the ego and its pains. It is about having compassion and responding from a place of kindness and determination to heal. The oracle also suggests a matter of a material or physical concern can be touched and healed by spirit. Your task is to invite spirit in and allow it to do what it knows how to do. Find relief in the knowledge that spirit is with you and wants you to heal through all matters of concern. Beautiful message. Beautiful message. Yes, co create, heart alignment action. Yes. And it's about coming into alignment with spirit. So it sounds like you're really being asked in order to prepare for this soul retrieval work or to do this journey meditation where you're calling back your connection to your ancestry or connection to a part of yourself that you feel like you've just been disconnected from, whether that's your creativity, your passion for life, your self confidence, whatever it may be. Okay. However you choose to use it, your empowerment, um, to get connected with your spirit, make time to connect with your spirituality. Maybe it's been a while since you've connected spiritually, some of you. This can be very helpful just to open up to that connection again, experiencing the way that it can provide support, especially in readying you for doing this kind of work, the way it can give you hope, when you're integrating something that might be, tough to integrate. So You're being guided to bring that forward in whatever way speaks to you. So, whatever speaks to your soul, and to trust how that comes through for you. And I feel like there is this piece. There's something about you're already in this receptive space because of the work that we've been doing. So I feel like there is something about silence, letting that guidance from spirit come in by just deeply listening, maybe asking spirit, how can I deepen my connection with you? So I can feel supported in this process, and then listening, just seeing what comes forward for you. Okay. See what comes forward for all of us. I mean, I'm doing this work right alongside you. Okay. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this healing process, because I think that this healing process will be something that can be very beneficial, and supporting in preparation for soul retrieval work. So go ahead and just close your eyes, drop into your body, take some nice deep breaths, coming into this moment, allowing that prana to be inhaled deeply all the way down to the bottom of your belly, allowing your belly to soften, rise, and fall with exhalation as you follow that exhalation with your consciousness all the way out on its release, and then inhaling again deeply. You're able to, as you breathe here, not trying to force your breath to be any sort of way, just letting it fall into its own rhythm, rise and fall, ebb and flow, just like the waves of the sea. If you're able to, put your feet nice and flat on the floor so you can feel your connection to the earth. And if that's not possible, go ahead and sit with in whatever position is comfortable for you. Or maybe you're laying down. Maybe you need to lay down. That's okay too. Um, just allow yourself to feel supported. If you're laying down, just notice the way that your body is supported by the surface you're laying on, how you feel held in that space. Allow your chest to sort of spread open. Maybe take that prana up a little higher, up through the rib cage, letting the ribs expand up the side, up into the heart center, letting that chest expand, allowing those collarbones like spread open. Allow the breath to release. Place your left hand on your heart, your right hand covering it, holding that space for it to be safe to slip into receptivity, vulnerability. Consciously connect with your heart, allowing yourself to become fully present in this moment. Noticing the flow of your breath in and out will support this process of transition into sacred inner heart space. Receive these words into your heart now as an intention, a declaration, a devotional blessing. I call upon Shekinah, sacred feminine presence of the divine spirit within my heart and within all hearts. Awaken, divine sister, we need you. To you, I surrender all concerns in need of a higher solution. I trust that the healing capabilities of spirit are far greater than the depressing scenarios generated by fearful, wounded ego. I invite your sacred presence, protection, grace, blessing, and peace to restore me to my authentic path, to correct all issues in my life that had become tainted or confused by ego, and ensure my soul's spiritual fulfillment for the benefit of all beings. Thank you for your love and presence with me always. Imagine, see, feel, or intend that a beautiful white light is awakening in your heart and radiating throughout all parts of you, shining like a white spiritual sun. It may shine all the colors of the rainbow from your heart or remain as white light. Whatever comes through for you is perfect and is meant for you. Trust whatever comes through for you. The beautiful rays of each light reach through all levels and dimensions of existence. Simply let this happen as you surrender into the effects of the prayer you received into your heart and this practice. Rest in this luminous offering for as long as feels right for you. And you can come back to this practice again and again in preparation for the soul retrieval work next week on Thursday evening, just as a way to sort of get yourself centered, ready, and aligned with spirit for that. Let spirit support you in this work. Maybe for those of you who are starting to feel a little bit fearful as you get closer to it, maybe allowing this to help dissolve some of those fears, you know, just getting yourself aligned with the space of readiness and drop in and allow it to show you where you're at and your receptivity to it at this point, your readiness for it at this point, and trust what comes through. Go ahead and finish with your hands in prayer and your head bowed with respect for life. You have finished this healing process. Go ahead and wiggle your fingers a little bit, flutter your eyes open, come back into this space with me. You can come back to that practice as much as you need to, just to get yourself prepared, get yourself aligned for doing this work. And that's what I have for you. Congratulations on completing 40 days and devoting yourself to the work of healing and integrating and empowering mind, body, spirit, all in alignment. I'm really proud of all of you that have stuck it out. I know that there's times the work can go deep, it can bring up a lot, but you stuck it out. And that's something I hope you'll feel a real healthy sense of pride around and feel confident about that. And I hope that it opens up for you possibilities about how much more you're capable of. You are most welcome. It's been my pleasure. Thank you. I really appreciate all of you who have participated, and be on the lookout for that soul retrieval session next Thursday. Um, it'll be about an hour long, so you can be prepared when it premieres. And so that'll go from, let's see, it'll go from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. or 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. if you're on Pacific Standard Time, okay? Next Thursday. And then afterwards, say at 9:30 p.m., I will go live Eastern Standard Time. So that'll be 6:30 p.m. for those of you on the West Coast, those of you in the States, to do a live. So we can just connect with each other and people can share their experiences and do any processing that is necessary. I feel that's important and I want to hold space for that. Okay. So I hope you all have a beautiful weekend, and yeah, just soften, build that light within, move into a space for receptivity, create some space for silence, enjoy the silence, listen. I think Spirit's going to be talking to you and getting you in a place of readiness to receive whatever it is you're choosing to call back. And congratulations. Congratulations on following through. I hope that right there you already feel a sense of empowerment and renewed trust in yourself. Because there's one thing to say you're going to do something, right? And then there's another thing to like show up consistently and do the work and follow through even when maybe you are having a rough day. Follow through even when you are a little bit tired. Follow through even when you are feeling really emotional, but you're showing up, you're committed, and you're showing up in a new way. I hope you really feel good about that. It's really significant. It's really significant. And you didn't just do it for like a day or two. You did it for 40 days. So I celebrate you. I celebrate you. And I hope you'll celebrate you too. All right. I'll see you all on Tuesday when I'm back after my 2 days off. And Thank you so much. I appreciate all of you. Grateful for you. And thank you for joining me on this ride. Take care.